tutorial will be on keyframes and the speed graph. I'm going to start by moving my playhead to the 0 mark, and we're going to add a solid into the composition. I want this to be 250 by 250 for this demonstration, and I'm just going to make it green. This is going to be an example of changing the position through keyframes. Next to every layer is a drop-down menu with a twirl-down arrow. So if I go to the transform properties, you can see you can access your 4 basics: position, scale, rotation, and opacity. For this, we're going to animate the position, and you always begin by making sure your playhead's where you want it to be, and then clicking on the stopwatch. Not the word itself, but the stopwatch next to it. We now have our first keyframe. And then you need at least 2 keyframes to do any animations in After Effects. So to do that, you have to move through time, because we're already at the 0 mark. So I'm going to move to the 4-second mark. I can click and drag the playhead, or type in the time code 4:00, because that's 4 seconds with no frames. It always goes frames, then seconds. If I wanted to go 1 minute, 4 seconds, 0 frames would be 1.4.00. But for this demonstration, 4:00 is 4 seconds. If I move this, it'll automatically create a second keyframe. Or you can click Add or Remove Keyframes. So now it's moved across the screen. When you're moving through space, you have to remember about speed. So if I go to the 2-second mark and move my keyframe there, it's going the same distance in space, but now it's moving twice as fast. The dots are further apart because it's moving faster. So it's a much faster animation now. To select keyframes, click and drag around them. So make sure you're far enough away to get all of them. Then you right-click on the keyframe. You have to be on the keyframe for this to work. And your choices for keyframes are Easy Ease, Easy In, Easy Ease In, Easy Ease Out, plus Toggle Hold. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Easy Ease both of these for this demonstration. Now, I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to open up the graph editor, which is right here by the timeline. So I clicked on that, and I'm going to change the graph by clicking this button right down here. And I'm going to do the value graph first. This is just going straight up in scale. That's the property for it. If I change to the speed graph, that's just showing the property of the transformation. Now you see the speed graph, it's very linear and boring. So I'm going to go back to my value graph. You can always hit this button right here to change to fit all the graphs into view. I'm going to select all my keyframes in the graph. Now I'm going to change them to Easy Ease. You can do that right here, or you can leave the graph editor and change them in the timeline, but I'm going to click right there. Now you see the position property has changed. We now start having a curve, and if I go to my speed graph, the speed has changed. Now it's much more interesting. It's gradually speeding up, then it gets to a part where it comes to about a gradual continuous motion, then it gradually slows down. Again, to edit this curve, I'm going to do Fit All Graphs to View. Now I can much more easily finesse this animation. So this is going to go a little slow because I'm recording the screen, but see, that's a constant. Well, it's not a constant motion anymore. It's slowing into here and slowing out of there. I press the home key to go back to the first frame. By grabbing the yellow dot of the influence handle, not the square, that's your keyframe, but the yellow dot bar, I'm going to click and hold down Shift to make it straight. You now see that my graph is going to gradually, it's going to slowly come out of here, build up speed real fast here, then gradually come to a slower end. This is a much slower end, so the animation will be much more drastic. I'm also going to grab this handle here, this influence handle, hold down shift and move it to make it speed out a little bit more the first frame, but you still have this little bit of ease, but then it's going to animate faster. Now you see how the animation has changed just by using the speed graph, or changing the keyframes, using the speed graph, and adjusting the influence handles.